The Dauntless. Is it really this easy to actually get onto the big mysterious ship? Yes, there are public areas that if you're allowed in, you just have to show up at the door and request permission to board. I think the Cloaken are just having too much fun being manhandled by the guards. Jadza notes. Oh, probably. The first few times no doubt had a nasty surprise, but if it's kept up this long, then people have wised up to it. Modan replies. Still, I'm not sure if the girls having little tail rings that automatically cushion their landings and outright waiting in line to be thrown out of the ship is a good thing of a bad thing. Probably a bad thing. It's not like we can fully arrest or shoot them, though. We don't have the holding cell capacity, and the political shitstorm for shooting them would outlive a fair chunk of the force, Modan states, and Jadza considers before nodding. So what kind of... Jadza begins before someone staggers into view. It's a man, very, very scruffily dressed, staggering around, and he came out of a very unexpected doorway if Modan's reaction is anything to go by. Is he high? What was he doing in that oxygen storage chamber? Modan asks himself. Excuse me. He then walks up to the man who's examining the walls as if trying to find the answers to life, the universe, and everything upon them. The man swings around, his left arm flailing as if it weren't a limb but a pendulum sticking out of his shirt. His eyes are unfocused to the degree that he's either trying to see something on his eyeball or in the next star system. Either way, it's a surreal thing to see. Hey, focus, Modan says, gently grabbing him by the shoulder to steady the unbalanced man and snaps his fingers a few times. Are you all right? What? The man says. What? Modan asks in confusion. What? The man tries a couple more times. Water? Modan asks, and the man nods so grandly he almost headbutts Modan. Let's get you down to medical, and then I'll get you your water there, okay? Oh. The man burbles out. What's wrong with him? Jadza asks, as Modan gently turns the man around. He's on some kind of medication, likely a painkiller, Modan states. What happened? I'm not sure, but we're a military organization. It's not a real surprise that injuries are common. He answers as he steadies the man a little further, just in time for a man in a white coat to rush around the corner. There he is. Thank you, soldier. Doctor, what's happened to this man? Why was he in an oxygen closet? That's where he hid? He was injured on a scouting mission into the lower levels. I've had to graft cloned flesh onto him, but he's reacting oddly to the sedatives. There were no indicators on his files about this. Do you need some help, doctor? Please, I'm not the largest man, and both you and him are at least 2 weight categories above me. Certainly. You don't mind if my guest follows along, do you? Modan asks as he maneuvers himself until the sedated man's arm is around his shoulders, and he's holding the man much more stable with his left arm around the man's waist and his other hand keeping him steady with a hand on his chest. As long as no one hurts my patient in some way, I don't care, the doctor states as he helps support the much larger man from the other side. Hell, she can be useful. Miss, can you rush ahead of us and open doors, please? That was unexpected. Dead useful, though. Yes, of course. Which door? 4 down on your left. That's this level's medical. The doctor answers and she rushes ahead and opens the door. The room inside is a small medical center with 10 beds, 2 with patients on them and out cold and the last one rumpled. Every time he teleports while high, I have to run him through another check and get him onto another bed. Thank fuck that I've got a nurse coming off break in 5. The doctor explains as he leads Modan and the patient into the infirmary and with the help of Modan lays him down on an unrumpled bed. I think he's looking for water. At least, he nodded or maybe tried to headbutt me when I said water, Modan offers. It's understandable, but not really true. A side effect of the sedatives is nausea. A side effect of the anti-nausea medicine is dry mouth. And a side effect of dry mouth is teleporting while partially sedated. Modin remarks somewhat wryly as he slowly breaks the grip of the soldier after the man grabbed his wrist. I gave him water 15 minutes ago. The doctor complains just as the door opens again, and a man in a pale blue shirt and name tag walks in. Dr. Ogawa? The man asks after scanning the room. Nurse Beaubois, I need to make sure that Commando Griggs there hasn't hurt himself after his latest jaunt while sedated. Prepare his previous bed to receive the next patient. Yes, sir, the nurse states. What happened to these men? Modin asks. Doctor-patient confidentiality, I'm afraid. You've already seen much too much. Thank you for your assistance, but unless you need medical assistance of your own, I need you to leave the infirmary. Dr. Ogawa insists, and both Modin and Jadza quickly get out of the way and close the door behind them. Do you have any idea what happened or why it's taking so long to heal them? Healing comas and more exotic but still not fully understood techniques require the patient's consent or life or death situations. So they won't get proper healing. They will, but right now it's just about making sure they can consent to what they need. There are a lot of sticking points, and we've had some severe breaches of security and all sorts of other issues when it comes to things like healing comas. How bad? We got an extra soldier out of one, Modin remarks. What? An amount of retention bands were stolen, and one was used to place a copy of a soldier's mind into the body of an alien clone. What kind of alien? What happened to him? He got into contact with us, signed right back up, and spearheaded the relief force for the primitive world he woke up on. There's a lot of details that are technically, but not really classified, but he's an Orani now. His human base has declared him a brother, and they've apparently already gotten massively drunk together. An Orani as a soldier. Jadza processes that. A young Orani? The older ones can be pretty bold. Massively biomodded at this point. The man is big, strong, aggressive, and fast on a scale that putting power armor on the man might actually slow him down, Modin states, and she stares. What? You think I'm the only undaunted man doing crazy things? It's more or less our mission statement. Yes, but I've met Orani. I can't... Wait a minute. Does your massively bio-altered Orani have anything to do with the accusations of the Undaunted somehow having or creating a primal Orani? He is the primal Orani. His fur is unbreakable. He's over twice my height, and his wings give him the same general size as a fighter, among other advantages, Modin says, and she stares for a moment before pulling out her communicator. Do you need a minute? Please. All right, he says, taking a big step away from her. Yes, Control? I've just gotten confirmation on the primal Orani rumor. Quartermaster Maji has stated the primal is not only an undaunted, but a male as well with human memories. How? Stolen memory retention band after a healing coma, she answers. Any more information? I've told her pretty much everything. Modin calls over and Jadza gives him a glare. I see. So he doesn't know much. We'll be requesting a release of information from the Undaunted. They seem to really like their proper methodologies. Keep going, Agent. Her handler states, and the call ends. So, Modin states as she pockets the communicator. How many crazy things have you humans done? She asks. We don't know, he says. How do you not know? We have no baseline or standard that suits the rest of the galaxy. Where is the dividing line between insane and sane? Where's the limit? Immortality seems to be normal, but advanced self-improving AI logic trees are oddly absent. There is cross-species reproduction with ease, but still very distinct cultures. There are entire portions of the population that are religiously cybernetic, and yet gene modding isn't as widely accepted. Where are the lines? Modin asks. That isn't easy to answer. All right then. Why is it so strange then? There are entire species whose mere definition is weirder than most things the Undaunted do. The Gravia are a mathematical equation with a breeding impulse. The Slobe are protoplasmic life forms that mimic other races. Going to more normal levels, we have the Metak, who are hyper-aggressive and with nigh indestructible shape, shifting wings that make them brutally powerful combatants. The Nagasha as a species comes from a single origin point but only split due to what's best described as demigods among their number. The Tree are one of the few races of the galaxy nigh immune to Axiom, and are feared and hated for it despite being small, nigh harmless, and very cordial as a species. How is it that humans are so odd? Because they've been part of the galactic community for a long time. You humans are new, we're getting a feel for you, and we're not sure what to think. She answers. Really? So the galactic community hasn't had newcomer after forming? We have. It's just there's so much we don't know. The hack, as you called it, gave us a very good and candid first look, but most races are almost completely exposed on first contact. There are no secrets and we understand a species. But what we got from the Undaunted seems to be a massive bluff, and we don't know whether a human is coming or going. My handler has been talking almost non-stop about whether or not you have studied or have access to something called Coin Spinner, an Axiom artifact in the form of sword. No, but I used it as inspiration, Moden admits. So is it real? Not yet. Yet. Let me teach you some recent history. Have you or your handlers come across the television show Star Trek? Modan asks. Yes, a very cheesy but not a bad interpretation of galactic life. Good now. What technologies in Star Trek do you think we adapted from Star Trek? From nothing more than imagination? Communicators? Those are adaptations of phones, and they're so commonly used in the galaxy that it was a step up. FTL, she asks. No, Star Trek FTL works very differently than it does in the galaxy. It was considered to be impossible when the beacon first landed and proved us wrong. Transporters? She asks. No, automatic doors, the first of several Star Trek technologies invented. You see, there's a deliberate psyop going on when we had all our data stolen. It involved treating true facts like fantasy like truth, and switching it all around until everything stolen from us became useless. The problem is that we began development as well. We're moving so fast that lies are becoming true and truths are becoming lies. I'm not sure I understand. Humans are an adaptive and reactive species. We change and change fast. Coin Spinner is not real, but that's likely going to change. The final stage of my research is finding a way to make my style of Axiom use something that can be picked up and easily used by anyone, which means it'll need a physical interface. Like, say, a weapon, a sword perhaps, maybe one with a pair of dice worked into the hilt. The galaxy doesn't move that fast though, doesn't it? Were pirates not waiting for the Undaunted the moment we emerged? No one thought we were real, and yet there was an ambush waiting for us. The galaxy certainly reacted good and fast to us showing up. Why is it so odd that things are still moving? It has only been a few short months. But you've been shifting so much. You're a tiny organization and you lever a huge amount of power to accomplish your goals. But isn't that what everyone does? Lever everything you can to accomplish what you have to. Maybe, but Wait, what were we originally discussing? How many crazy things humans have done, I think. Then I said that we don't know where the line is. Then you seem to go on not knowing what the lines are, as every race is different, and then we wandered into the hack and resulting psyop. About that, you know I'm an asset for another nation's intelligence. Why are you telling me about a psyop in practice? Because it actually assists the psyop for people to be aware of it. It's deliberate obfuscation through confusion and chaos. Knowing that we're doing it just spreads more doubt and confusion, so we're all completely open about it. And every member of the Undaunted is encouraged to be as open, honest, and playful with it as possible. See that? That is weird. How can you not see it? She demands and shrugs. It makes perfect sense to me. If you already know everything, then we have to make you doubt you know anything. But you admit that your data was stolen. Of course. So we know everything. You think you know everything. He answers with a wide smile. Ah, again, how do you keep doing that? I don't know, but this is too funny to stop.